What's going on, Capricorn? Welcome to your reading. We're just going to dive right in because I see that the Capricorns that this reading is for are in a connection with someone that I think you are more sure and ready than this other person is kind of coming across as. Capricorn. You're looking at them as someone that you're very interested in, someone that I think you want to invest in, someone that you could potentially even see yourself having a family with. But I think the energy that you're getting back from this other person is a little bit more on the uncertain side, or they are more um seems like more ready. Like some days there could be a little bit of a back and forth where it's like sometimes they'll talk about it and they seem really enthusiastic about it or more prepared, and then other days, maybe they're more concerned, or they have more concerns than it seemed like they did before. But either way, there's like a lack of true commitment from this other person. I see that you're feeling, Capricorn. They see that you are more willing to commit, that you are kind of ready. And Capricorn, that's just also like your nature. You are a provider. You are someone that is very, when you're interested in someone, the kind of homemaking, like you take on that responsibility and really want to take care of who it is that you're with. The Capricorns that I know, when they commit, it's all or nothing kind of a thing. So I feel that maybe that is a little bit overwhelming for this person that you're interested in right now, Capricorn. And I feel like maybe you are sensing that kind of hesitancy on their end when you kind of lay it all out in the way that you do, that you're ready to commit, that you're wanting something more serious. Um, there could be a little bit of a mutual understanding right now. Maybe you guys are on a break, or maybe there's been some kind of conversation where you feel like things need to be slowed down, or something is going on here. And I feel like it's more revolving around this other person, Capricorn, where they are feeling like they need specifically to take time to themselves. And maybe that's how they're communicating it to you, that there's just something that they need to work through on their own. If not actually on a break, this is more like you've probably had these kinds of conversations where there is whatever this kind of I feel like there's like a central conflict kind of, but it feels more like a mismatch. There's some kind of like emotional mismatch here where it just I feel like, Capricorn, you are trying to offer more help, kind of more support feels like the more correct word. You're trying to offer some support that your person isn't really receptive to, or feels like I'm just getting someone that feels like they kind of have to handle something on their own. And there is truth to that. There is whatever it is that they're attempting to overcome is something. Let me actually just put one clarifier on this. This is something that, needs to be healed internally. I'm seeing a kind of mother wounding here specifically that's coming up. Um, they could be a mother, but this feels more like, the kinds of wounds and traumas that come out of childhood, possibly also with a father figure, but this feels more like X kind of energy. I don't typically call out signs, but we do have a fire sign here. This person gives me a lot of fire or air energy, but this like X feels like a lot of fire energy. So that would be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Doesn't have to be those things, but just the fact that I kind of felt a little bit called to call them out. Maybe that means something for you. But anyway, so this feels like, again, past wounding, a lot of mother wounding, and then specifically like more masculine fire energy. This feels related to kind of an X kind of relationship. But it doesn't have to be a fire sign. This can also just kind of speak to the intensity in either way, but it feels more like volatility, right, towards in this past relationship. So it is in a way something that they have to overcome. You know what I mean? However, Capricorn, it's like you want to be supportive and you want to be there for them and offer them a kind of, at least empathy that I think they're at least like uncomfortable with. But I feel like what you kind of get as a result of this is like actual like kind of pushback, maybe even some kind of conflict. But I feel like when you try to kind of offer intimacy and closeness in that way, it kind of does the other effect with this person. So this person that you're interested in may feel like they actually need to take time away from the relationship. You could feel that as well, but this kind of feels more like where you're wanting kind of like a break and you're wanting more clear communication about kind of like the duration of the break. This is someone that is more just like, I need to take my time, and however long that is, which I feel like, again, is a place where there's a bit of a mismatch in the compatibility in the relationship and how you communicate and the things that you both feel you need to kind of feel like safe and supported in a connection. Um, you Capricorn, I think I see you almost kind of tapping more into that earth energy where it's a bit of stubbornness, where because you kind of have this vision and this belief that you really can kind of help this person out of their situation, you really are more set on this connection thriving. Essentially, I think that you uh are viewing yourself like as someone who can come in and honestly like provide kind of the things that this person needs to be able to heal themselves. And I just want to caution you, I'm just getting a very clear message about kind of maybe there's some patterns tied around your beliefs around like self-worth and the way that you kind of show up for people, a kind of need to like prove oneself through service, or feeling like, I don't want you to get caught up in this kind of belief that because you've done so much for someone. I'm seeing there's like in the past, maybe there has been a tendency to lean into almost having expectations or feeling wronged or betrayed or slighted in some way by someone, because like you're performing all of these loving acts of service, but there is a subconscious expectation that something is to come from them, Capricorn. And it's not to say that, these acts of service are not rooted in love, and that you aren't doing this because you genuinely do want to help someone and you love them and, want to care and provide for them and all of those things. But there is just a warning here about, making sure that when you're doing those things in service, that there are no expectations tied to them, because you do, I'm seeing, perhaps have a tendency to break your own heart. And also, you know, there is a kind of, perhaps like the way that the people I'm seeing in your past may have like perceived that kind of energy as being backed into a corner. You know what I mean? Like the gifts and all the things that you're doing do come with a kind of debt, and that doesn't make people feel necessarily safe. So it's, again, this is just about being more aware about, the motivations that we have for things, and the things that we do for people. This also can feel like, this is just a little note too about like I feel like I'm seeing someone offer advice, but if the person doesn't like take it and enact it, like really apply that advice, like you could get really frustrated with them because you have a certain kind of foresight, and then inevitably whatever you were trying to kind of help them with happens, right? And so you're just like, well, I told you. So that kind of energy, and like I understand how frustrating that is, Capricorn, but again, this is just about remembering that people can only take whatever help they are willing and able to receive. So this is just about kind of not getting so swept up in other people's problems, essentially, when you're trying to help them. This other person, I am seeing their indecisiveness, their indecision, when they're viewing the relationship and its potential and where they want it to go. This is literally someone who is very back and forth, and this is again rooted in, I don't believe that they've had much security at all in their personal relationships, and so you coming along and all your earthy Capricornness, I see is really throwing them off. And so there are certain things, some internal beliefs and perceptions that they have that need to be worked through, that are being triggered right now. And they are, I'm seeing again, like I see effort here. I don't want you to think that this is someone that is just kind of blowing you off. This ultimately is a reading that is coming down to, this is one of those readings where the outcome and like making predictions is very up in the air. I see these are very two willful people who, again, I feel like the back and forthness, because it is present in both energies, this really is one of those connections where free will is at hand. And if you guys want to decide to, work on these things together, it needs to be mutual, Capricorn. I feel like if you kind of push your perspective too much, it will push them in a direction away from you. So I do just, again, want to caution you with that. And it's one of those things where it's like, you can absolutely be correct. Like, I think you are tuned into your foresight. You could be a very clairvoyant individual, and you understand, even if it's like, even if you don't feel like it's such a spiritual kind of thing, I think you recognize patterns and you can see, you know what I mean? If X, Y, then Z. And I understand that's frustrating when other people around don't see that or can't see that in themselves. But again, this is just a little note of like, if you are going to let someone kind of move at their own pace, then truly allow them to move at their own pace. And if you're going to kind of guide and help them, then when they come to you for it is when you should offer it. You know what I mean? There is also a little note here about, this is that X energy again. If this is the case for you, Capricorn, where your specific person is still involved with an X, then that's different than like kind of needing to heal and, you know, deal with whatever kind of, what is the word I'm looking for? Whatever kind of like is left over from past relationships. You know, we all have things that are triggered in new connections, but if this is someone who you are aware is still in communication and the back and forth is indecisiveness between either being with you or fully, you know, cutting off the romantic connection with this other person, then that's different. And the guidance is different for that. And the potential outcomes are different for that. You know, your situation. And again, I'm now being reminded about the little note about self-worth. If the back and forth is an interplay, or is like, you know, if the back and forth is between you and another person, then your guides are saying, what are we still doing here, kind of a thing. This is, you know, there's a need to choose yourself and to remove yourself from the situation. You don't need to prove yourself worthy to be with someone. But if the kind of back and forth is your person that feels, you know, they're dealing with certain emotions that are arising just being in connection to someone again, then that's different. And you can choose to exercise your empathy and your own, you know, your own discernment about whether or not you feel that that is a place that is healthy for you to remain. The advice I will say is, again, to just kind of be aware of this person's capacity, because what I am seeing that there's like, again, a desire for both of you to have a level of emotional connectedness. I am seeing, Capricorn, that you are just a little bit more in tune and in control of your emotions. You're a little bit more aware of them than this other person is. And again, they're trying to learn. I see this. There is a level of reactivity that I see gets in the way at times. I see that they kind of lean towards wanting to just end things when things get really difficult, which feels very unstable to you. And again, I'm really just being asked to really communicate that you need to use your discernment in these times. How does this truly make you feel? Is this something that you want to continue? I see you putting in so much labor into the relationship, and that's how it feels. It feels like labor. It almost feels like physical labor. And, you know, your emotions take a physical toll. And so what I will leave you with is that, Capricorn, just kind of use your discernment, be aware of whether or not this is something sustainable, if this is something that you even, you know, can want to do. What are the motivations is, again, a question that I'm being reminded of. Just what are your motivations? Are we in a place now where we feel like we need to prove to someone that we're lovable and they should love us, and look at all the things that we've done, and how can you not love me after all these things that I've done, and look at how worthy I am and how good of a partner I can be? You know what I mean? We're getting away from, we're moving into different kind of territory than what is like healthy. All right, I'm going to pull an oracle for you, and then I will let you go. I appreciate you guys being here today. Okay, let's see what we got. We have number 39, protect your boundaries. I don't know enough about birds to know what kind of bird is on the cover, but it's orange and blue. Okay, it says, one of the best ways to love your fabulous self is to set and maintain your boundaries. You'll have way more energy for things that matter, like your own sovereignty, if you quit spending it on situations that drain you. No is a necessary magic, and it will fuel your enthusiasm when yes shows up. So what if people don't like or approve of you when you're keeping true to your most sacred bonds and honoring your needs as sacred? Your value doesn't come from outside sources. It doesn't even come from within. You were born with it, and it is immeasurable. Act like it. Protect the sacred space of you. I like that one. I don't know, Capricorn. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope that this helped. If it did and you want to let me know, go ahead and drop a like or leave a comment. I really do love hearing from you guys, and it helps me out a lot. And if you want to be notified next time I post a video, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll get a little notification. I hope to see you guys next time. Thanks so much for being here. Bye.